So, guys, this is the Speak Easy podcast where we talk about the behind the scenes of what it is to be the successfully paid speaker and author. Because guess what? You can be a speaker and author and be broke.
Mm.
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 It's not a good feeling at all. But we want to make sure that you are the successfully paid speaker and author. So with that being said, I am your host, Altarese Pelzer, the voice coach, professional speaker, certified life coach, Amazon bestselling author, and podcaster. And guess what? My guest is super cool. All my guests are the best. I don't know who else's podcast you listen to. And, that's cute. But my podcast has the best guests. Like, they give you the best conversations. It's kind of like a dating service. That part. I think so. Okay, but I'm not going to say that out loud again, simply because I don't want y'all in my inbox talk about, hey, remember guests from episode? Yeah, we're not going to do that. But with that being said, I'm super excited, guys. And James, let them know a little bit about yourself so we can dive into today's topic.
Hello, everyone. Let me first say this. I have followed Altarese because she's doing amazing things. But I absolutely, after talking with her before we came on, I absolutely love her. I absolutely love her. She is even more amazing one-on-one than she is kind of following her. Well, my name is James A. Valentine. I am called the Manifest Coach, and I do three things. I help people become magnetic, help people create memorable experiences, and also live boldly through the process of manifesting what it is that they desire in the earth. So whether it's business related, whether it's relationship related, whether it's healing that someone may need, I help people facilitate that in their life. So thank you, Altarese. Appreciate the introduction.
So we're about to dive into today's topic. So I know you saw the topic, right? The road to self-discovery, hitchhikers, baggage, and choices. And the reason why we're talking about this topic today is because when we think about self-discovery, there's this important word at the beginning of it. It's self. And we attempt to hold on to so many other things and grab up and collect things and people that don't necessarily need to be on this journey with us when we're trying to do this whole self-discovery. So what's going to be that first thing that you would tell somebody before they even get started on this journey that you're going to say, listen, I'm going to give you this disclaimer right now?
I always tell people, take inventory of your life and see who's in it and see what value they're bringing and what kind of energetic kind of vibration is attached to them. Is it somebody that brings value to where I'm trying to go to, or is it somebody that is from where I came from? So I always say take inventory, and I include relatives in that. My relationship with the parents, relationship with the siblings, on down. Is this because I believe in barriers? I believe in boundaries. Sometimes you got to set those boundaries until you can get a firm grasp of who you are and where you're going, and then kind of gauge how much you want to interact with them at that point. So take inventory.
And that's so important, taking inventory, because a lot of times we have some, let's see, we'll talk about the hitchhikers first.
Yeah.
We'll have some people on the journey, man, that they just can't go with us. No. And I think it's that feeling of, I want my closest circle friends, my closest circle family members to validate and accept me.
Right.
What would be your response to that?
For me, because I dealt with that to an extent. I recognize that was going to be an obstacle, and could be an obstacle to get to where I want to get to. And I don't recommend this for everyone. But one of the things I did is I recognized that my closest emotional tie was with my parents, was with my mother and my father. In other words, I cared about what they said. Everyone else was kind of so forth and so on. So this is what I did. I actually only communicated, again, don't recommend this for everyone. I actually only communicate with them for about a year time, through Facebook Messenger. Because what I wanted to do was I wanted to break that emotional tie so that when I related to them as the unapologetic James. Like, this is who your son is. And we now have the most amazing relationship where they respect me for who I am. Like, for a while it was different for them because, be honest with you, my mother were like, "Hey, I don't have your number," and I'm like, "Mom, I need to do this for me right now. I need to do this for me right now." And my dad the dad was the same way. But after that year time, like, they respect who I am now. They don't, they know that I'm going to say what's on my mind. And so that's what I needed to do to break that emotional bond, is kind of set some boundaries with, as I said previously, set some boundaries with people, no matter how difficult it was, because I love my mother. That's my best friend. But I was at a point where I cared about what she said. And as it pertains to building wealth, my mother's old school. My mother's like, you hiding your pennies and all that kind of stuff. And so we didn't match on that. So I couldn't have those kind of conversations about what was going on until I was able to get established. And then I can go, "Hey, Mom, this is what's going on." But yeah, that was what I needed to do.
And that's interesting. So for me, because I'm like, my mother is deceased,
Mm-hmm.
and my father is wherever he is.
Mm.
So I didn't have that particular attachment, but I had my siblings.
Yeah.
And it was so interesting, but because for me, it took me literally moving 2 states away from everybody.
Wow.
To where I wasn't just, hey, somebody could come and knock on the door. Hey,
Right.
or text message away and saying, hey, we're on our way to come get you for X, Y, and Z. Because, siblings, they pop up.
Absolutely. I got 2 of them. Yeah. Absolutely.
They just kind of pop up, hey, we're going to eat, those types of things.
Right.
But it was definitely, if I had not have come out of, and I won't even say that it was a toxic environment, but if I did not come out of that environment, I would not be where I am right now.
Absolutely. I agree totally. I'm 100% with you. My parents have always wanted me to be, well, my dad specifically wanted me to be who he wanted me to be. And that has been a source of frustration for him for a long time, that I'm a nonconformist. I'm the rebel. I'm the what's called the black sheep of the family. I set my own path. And so for him, and so he has a certain way of looking at what a man should do and not do, and all of that. And that's, I define manhood for myself. And so, he had, like, I remember I did a video on my page where I was just dancing. I was dancing to some song. And his comment on there is, "What are you doing, boy?" Like, that was his and my comment was, "I'm teaching." Because I do those types of things because I want to show people, I want to provoke people living in their freedom. But that's, that's the kind of feedback that I would get from my dad. He wants me to be, well, probably not now, but he wanted me to be who he wanted me to be. And I felt that pressure. Not anymore, but I used to feel that pressure.
Honestly, that's a huge pressure. I think
Yeah.
when we think about our college students right now, the majority of them go into college with that pressure.
Oh,
I have to go to this Ivy League school. I have to have this level of education. And, it changed me because for me, I went to college for accounting, got into college classes and realized accounting is boring when you're someone that can do numbers in your head.
Right.
Everybody else is struggling.
Right.
And you're just sitting there. And then the classes were boring. And so when I switched to social behavioral health, it was like, oh my goodness, topics and psychology and sociology classes and all of this stuff. And I always had something to talk about.
Right.
It sparked something for me that the accounting did not. But my mother, she went for business. She went for accounting. And I was just, fell right into that same cycle. But that was not for me.
Yeah, that programming, and I often talk with my clients about programming and conditioning. And that's what we fall into. We fall into what other people's expectations are for us, instead of really taking a step back and going, what are my expectations for me? What do I want to really be doing? And just because it's been done this way before, do I still have to do it that way? Or can I do it a different way? Can I do it a better way or another way and be okay with that? And that's me. Like I celebrate my rebel, that rebel part of me now, because I never graduated high school. I did through some kind of college program. I was able to go to college, but I went for sociology. I first went for business administration at Northern Virginia Community College, and then I went for sociology at PG Community College. But I recognized that I'm a self-starter. I'm self-motivated. I probably could teach certain classes just because of my own personal study. And so I recognized that wasn't for me, just as I eventually had to learn that working a job isn't for me. Not that I was lazy, but I like to be in control of my own destiny. I like to be able to say, this is the time I'm going to wake up. This time I'm going to go to sleep. And so it's never been with me about work ethic, because maybe, we probably have to wrestle back and forth with some people, but I put my work ethic up there with anybody. So it's never been that. And I've always been a reader. So, I read neurology and quantum physics just for fun. So it's not even been a thing of being smart, but I wanted to carve out my own path for James and define life for myself. So again, I don't recommend this for everybody, but that's me. That's who I am.
And that goes right into that next segment, which is the baggage.
Mm.
Because a lot of times we're carrying on the expectations of other people.
Right.
We're carrying on sometimes even the hurt.
Yes. One of my programs is reconnecting with the inner child. And so I deal a lot with the hurt that people dealt with. First, I had to deal with James, deal with my hurt. I grew up, my mother was, she's my best friend now, but she was emotionally and mentally unavailable. In other words, matter of fact, this meant bedtime. There was no tucking in. There was no good night, dear. There was no kissing, none of that. And this was my hero. And there was nothing more than I wanted than to have a hug or to go, great job. I often tell this story as well. I learned being bad got me the attention that I wanted. Because I remember one time in school, my mother said, apparently I was doing pretty good because at one point I started acting up. And she said, they told me that you were doing good. And the reason I didn't say anything is because I knew eventually you were going to start acting up again. So subconsciously, I learned that, okay, to get attention from my hero, I got to act up. I'm not thinking I'm acting up for that reason, but obviously that was the case. So I carried that hurt, Altavis, from early childhood into my teenage years, into my adult years. And matter of fact, I was only attracted to people that were emotionally and mentally unavailable, not thinking that was what the attraction was. But for me, and of course it ended the same way as it did with my mother, rejection. So that baggage is real. Until we really kind of deal with that, that we're going to kind of get into the cycle of the same kind of relationships, the same kind of outcomes and experiences that we have, until we kind of deal with that baggage, till we deal with that hurt, however far it goes back.
And you just hit a nerve right there, because because sometimes it go back.
Yes.
It go back. Some of y'all are carrying baggage from two.
Right. And self-sabotaging your life so that, and this was me, a great thing would happen for me, like maybe a great relationship or a great job or some great experience. But because I was taught and believed that I had no worth, that I had no esteem, I self-sabotaged every great thing that happened to me so I could get back to the feeling of what I was used to. Mm-hmm. And a lot of probably your listeners, I know a lot of my, people I've worked with are experiencing the same things. They're self-sabotaging their relationships, self-sabotaging great experiences in their life because they believe that they had no worth. So they're trying to subconsciously get back to what feels familiar. And so they point the finger like, this is what you did to me and this is what you did to me. No, this is what you're doing to yourself. And until we get into that programming and find out, okay, This is what happened, like you said, this is what happened when I was 2, or I was 4, or I was 10. Now I need to really deal with this so I can have the relationship, the healing, because also that healing part is very real too. That mind-body connection, the stress, carrying the stress of some of the pain and the hurt shows up in your body, So people find all kind of miraculous experiences, and as far as healing, when they deal with some of the emotional and mental baggage that you're talking about.
So you know what that means, right? Some of you that have been working on that summertime fine bodies, some of that is baggage. That's the real weight you need to let go of.
Absolutely. Okay? Absolutely. Start dealing with that stuff. Absolutely.
Let it go. Absolutely. Get into your Elsa and Anna mode. Let it go. It's interesting though, because when we're always from the outside looking in, mm-hmm. You want to tell somebody, just be able to let it go.
Yeah.
But we know that from the inside out, it's not that easy. It's not always as easy as you just opening your hands and letting go.
Right.
You've been holding on to it for so tight. So what would you say is going to be the number one way that you can let go of something? Now, we're not telling you that you're going to be able to, at the drop of a hat, let go of everything. But if they found one thing that they're saying, you know what, it's time for me to let go of this, what would be your suggestion for them?
First of all, I always tell people, be gentle with yourself, because it is a process. So if you've identified what it is that you need to let go, and you're in that process of forgiveness, whether that's forgiving yourself or whether that's forgiving somebody else, always say it's baby steps. Always say it's always taking one step toward it, and that could just be, first of all identifying it, but then going, you know what, I got to forgive me for wanting this to be different than what it was. And then you move into forgiving them for, not being who they said they were going to be, or who you expected them to be. But it starts with just being gentle with yourself and going, say for instance, like with me, dealing with a mother who rejected me. My first step was looking at, okay, what did she see? What did she hear? What did she experience as a little girl, or as someone that caused her to see the world the way she did? Because I had to learn that my mother was dealing with some stuff. My mother was dealing with some stuff. So that first step is trying to is forgiving yourself, and then being able to project that outward to other people. So.
And then, that always dives into that third thing that's in our title for today, is the choices.
Yeah.
We got to understand that the responsibility still is in our hands. Oftentimes we give that power away.
Right.
But we can always take it back.
Absolutely. I've been big lately on decision. It's just a decision. Once you make a decision that you want to be whole, and there's no plan B, you will move toward that outcome. And as a matter of fact, not only will you start moving toward that outcome, but people, places, and things will show up to support you moving toward that outcome. But first, it just starts with a decision. And every single morning, waking up with that same decision, that this is like, I just want to be whole. I'm working with a client now, and she followed me for over 2 years. And, she always said, James, I know I'm going to be working with you at some point. I know I need healing, so forth and so on. But she finally got to the point where she just made a decision. I can't go back. I cannot go back. So that choice is key. And so, we got to identify, what am I choosing? What are the choices that I'm making? Because this is what I learned as well, Altavis. People are finding value in their pain. And so it's hard for them to let go of it, because to some degree, they found their identity. And so to let go of this, I got to find out who I am now. And that's a scary place for people. So they make that choice to grab it back. And so, so once you make that decision, I don't care what I got to deal with. And this was me. I got to the point where I didn't care how bad I had to hurt, what I had to go through, how many tears I had to cry. I just knew I could not go back to where I was. And so there was no plan B. Whatever I had to do, kind of like that Malcolm X thing, by any means necessary, in order for me to get where I am today, it was just, I had to make a decision with no looking back. That was the choice I made. And that's the choice that your listeners, people that, listening that know me, that's what it takes. It just takes that choice, that decision that I don't care what I got to go through. I'm moving forward.
And it's definitely a huge decision. This is life. I laugh because for me, I tell people, listen, it wasn't until I got into my 30s that I was like, I really know what I like now. I really know what I like. I know what I love. I know what I like to do. I know what I love to do. And I was married early. I went back to my ex-husband and was like, sorry. And he just had to laugh because it's like, are you having a moment? And like, what's going on? And I was just like, no, I just have to apologize. Because when we got married and when we got together, I was 18, 19. Yeah. Right. I didn't know half of the things that I knew about myself now. And I truly was not someone who had taken value of what it is that was important to me. Yeah. And so I tried to live up to everybody else's standards. I was the people pleaser. So I was like, I had to go back and go, I'm sorry. Right. Jimmy? Right. Sorry.
Look, and now I'm at a point in my life, I stopped saying sorry. People call me, putting James first, that self-love piece was a game changer for me. So, and I found it when you're non-conformist, people want to label you mean, they want to label you harsh because you stepped outside the matrix. You're no longer in step with everybody else. And so while some of my love is tough love, it's recognized as you're being mean. And I get this from some of my clients, believe it or not. You're mean, you're harsh. But I had one person who, she called me mean, harsh the whole year. But at the end of I think it was December, she said, you have been the most impactful person in my life in 2018. So I'm going to keep on being mean and harsh. However you want to take it, that's how you take it. But I'm unapologetic about James. I'm unapologetic about me. I know my heart and I know my intention is for people to grow and live their best life. And everything I do is geared toward that. Everything I post, conversations with people, the people I'm connected with, like you, everything I can look to my left and look to my right and go, everything is in place for me to be able to do my purpose, for me to live out my purpose. So yeah.
That is it in a nutshell. And so every guest that comes on, I always ask them one question. So on this journey, we always have some blunders. We have some things that did not go right. They went way left. So what has been a blunder for you on this journey so far?
A blunder for me is becoming too emotionally attached to the outcome. I was someone that, because I deal with people in relationships. As part of what I do as a manifest coach. And I've had people come to me and say, this is what I'm dealing with, and I get so emotionally. And I'm glad you said that. Altavis, Lord, This is something my coach. It stays with me. My coach told me this once. She said, you have to learn the difference between giving somebody an invitation into your life and an invoice. Because exactly. Not everybody needs to be invited because they're going through. Some people just need an invoice. Here are my hours. Here are my prices. And that's the key thing that I learned, because I got too emotionally attached to people's outcome and them, following through with what they were going to do. And, and they became less clients, they didn't become clients at all. They became friends. So now I'm pouring out free information when I should have just in the beginning gave them a freaking invoice. Here's my hours. What program do you want to sign up for? So that was my blunder.
So I have to go ahead and put my hand up and say, oh man, that was me.
Right. That was what I had to learn. That was a big one I had to learn. So, yeah.
That speaks volumes, because a lot of people will not charge their actual value.
Yeah.
They won't charge what they're worth.
Yeah.
Because of that same thing, because they're very emotionally invested and emotionally involved, and they're like,
right.
But I just want you to win. I just want you to be okay. And yes, we want them to be okay.
Right.
But You still got to pay the light bill.
Exactly.
And
I got a 6-year-old, right?
yeah, the kids can't eat your okay. I'm just
Exactly. Exactly.
with icing on it.
Exactly.
They can't do that.
So that was a good lesson I had to learn. A good one. A good one. Yeah.
Most definitely. Well, I definitely appreciate you coming on and joining me as a guest today. I love this episode. It was amazing.
Yeah.
But I want you to let people know where they can find you at on social
Sure.
media and how to get in contact with you.
Sure. You can reach me on my Facebook group. I also have a Facebook page of the same name, Manifesting Love, Wholeness, and Life with James Valentine. And my website is www.awakeningtolove.org. And it's tolove.org. So you can message me. My phone number, my business number is on my page. So feel free to contact me. I look forward to hearing from you.
During business hours.
Doing business hours. Thank you. Love you, Altavis. I love you, love you, love you. Absolutely. Doing business
During
hours.
business hours.
And thank
Don't
you
want
for
no
this
late night
opportunity.
texts.
Right. Right.
I'll let you know afterwards, after we're done this recording. Some
You
of the
are too much.
responses I got from people for the people that were in the summit, they were like,
Right.
I'll let you know afterwards. So,
Okay.
hey guys.
Okay.
I definitely love you guys. And I appreciate you guys joining us for another episode of the Speakeasy Podcast. Let us know if this particular episode resonated with you by leaving us a review over on iTunes. Go to bit.ly/Speakeasy Podcast Show, all lowercase, and you can leave us a review. Also, don't forget in the comments, leave us some comments. Let us know if this specifically spoke to you. Why? Because this is why we are here. It is for you. Without the studio audience, there would be no Speakeasy Podcast. There would be no me, your host, Altavis Pelzer, the voice coach. I appreciate you guys. And until next time, don't forget to press it out. See?